Good morning, everybody.
The soundtrack is so
It's 10:04, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome on this rainy day. I don't know other places that were bad things, but I don't know what you have here. It's rain. When I saw the sprinkles this morning, I was like, it's going to be a good day.
So is this poor woman getting married outside?
I know. It was intense. I was at the store before I came up here. I just stood there waiting for it to lighten up a little bit, and then I took off my shoes and ran my bare feet. Yeah, but it's fine. It's good. Okay, welcome to Capital Brothers and Illustrators Alliance May meeting 2024. We are so glad you're here. We have exciting things in store to be talking about. It's going to be a great meeting, very informative, very interesting. We also have some wonderful things coming up. So, the first thing, okay, let me introduce myself. My name is Cameron Harris. I'm president-elect of Capital Writers. And DK, our current president, couldn't be here today, so I'm, in the event she was not able to fulfill her duties, I have stepped up to speak to you today, and happy to do so. Okay, so one of the great things that we've got going on right now, our project we have going on, is our anthology. Okay, who knows what the name of the anthology is? What is it?
Under the it's a book about with a lot of different stories.
Beneath the Love Sky. Beneath the Love Sky. I knew that. I just want to see. I knew it was something like Under the Love Sky. Beneath the Love Sky. So it is an anthology of fiction stories. So it can be inspired by true events, but they need to be based. They need to have a connection to love. So if you have a study, like a pretend interview with Buddy Holly, or if you have a story about your days at Texas Tech, or, makeup days at Texas Tech. I'm writing a story about Joyland, so, and it needs to be fiction. Yeah, I said that. It needs to be fiction, but, you can base it on your own memories and then embellish, which is what we do, right?
We also accept poetry and illustration.
Can it be previously published in Ransom Canyon? Can I use that?
I would say yes on Ransom Canyon. What is
Something
previously
else.
published? What's the thought on that? Can it be previously published? Like, do you have the rights to it?
Is it fiction? It is. Okay, I would say.
Okay.
We also accept poetry, and I think
I was told no.
you can get, I don't know what's on the website, but you can, for the $10 fee, you can submit like 5 or something, 3 or 5 something. Anyway, we don't know anything.
I have information right here. It's okay. All right. Okay. Anyway, there are cash prizes. The entry fee for members is $20. For non-members is $30, and you can get a free entry with a new membership. Word count for stories is 4,000 to 5,000 words. For illustrations, 1 to 5 pages of illustrations, along with up to 500 words for the images. All open to all genres of literary fiction and genre fiction. We also need volunteers, so if you want to help, we can use your help.
Volunteers to do what? Oh.
Okay. Readers for stories and help us sort out.
Rank the stories, but rank the stories for the judges. And you can email caprockWriters at gmail.com, Caprock Alliance at gmail.com. It must be a work of fiction set in Lubbock, past, present, or future. Nonfiction, memoirs, essays, articles, children's fiction, cookbooks, or it says on here poetry will not be accepted. So we need to change that because we are accepting poetry. All right, more information is on the website, caprockriders.com. So if you want more details, it's there.
And illustrations.
And yeah, I said that. I said that like 3 times. More illustrations, 1 to 5 page of illustrations along with up to 500 words about the images. Uh-huh.
If you write the story and it's set in, like, say, New York, but the person grew up in London and his flashbacks of their childhood.
I would choose that. Like if I was a judge, I would say that's allowed.
That sounds great.
I would say that's allowed. I think that would be really interesting. Okay. I'm going to do just a few more announcements, and then I'm going to call KJ up here to talk about Barnes & Noble Book Fair. One of the other initiatives that we're doing is a luggage drive for the local children's home. So a lot of the children in foster care do not have anything to carry their belongings in, and so they're using paper bags or plastic bags to carry all their stuff. And so we're going to do a luggage drive, and so next month, please bring either a new suitcase or a gently used suitcase, something that still has some life in it, with a book for children, any age children, and a journal so that they can write their story or draw pictures or something for them. So luggage with a book and a journal. And, pens and whatever else you want to put in there is good. Those things we need. Okay, so that will be at our next meeting. Please bring that. We're also, like, if you want to ask your friends, if they have luggage, they're cleaning out their closets, and they have some luggage that they want to donate, we will gladly accept that. And I think DK is arranging all this, and so she'll have more information in the newsletter. But she's trying to arrange a time where we will stay here after the meeting next month, and then we can just like have a drive-by luggage drop-off, and she's getting a lot of publicity for it. So if you forget your luggage next month, you can go home and get it and bring it back. But I'm really excited about that. I think that's a worthwhile endeavor. Another thing I wanted to mention is this beautiful artwork from the West Texas Watercolor Society in our space. It was here last month, and I think it's going to be here for another week. You might have noticed that there is a little sign-in thing on the back there for please sign if you viewed the artwork. So this is something that the West Texas Watercolor Society has gotten a grant from Civic Lubbock to put on this exhibit, and we can help them out. We can help them out with their report as they finish up their grant. By signing in there. So y'all please sign, because Caprock Writers is going to be applying for one of those Civic Lubbock grants in the future. And so just sow some good seeds and sign in there and help them out. And plus, it's a really cool, it's a beautiful exhibit. And so I like the artists to see that people were here and saw their stuff. Next Saturday is our fundraiser at Chipotle's between 5 and 8. So if you go to the Chipotle's for dinner next Saturday, and you're going to go to Chipotle's for dinner next Saturday, right? This is what we're doing. Yes, sir.
Is that any Chipotle or is it?
No, it's the one on 82nd and Quaker in Kingsgate Center. So anytime between 5 and 8, go to Chipotle's, tell them you're with Caprock Writers, and then our group will get a portion of the sales. All right, KJ, would you come here and speak about the Burks & Noble Book Fair?
Hello. In case you don't know me, I'm KJ Waters, and I am on the board. And I'm also helping run the Burks & Noble Book Fair that we're having Memorial Day weekend at the bookstore. There's 2 elements to it. One of it is a fundraiser, so if you are looking to buy books for the summer, or I would say wait until that weekend and then mention Caprock at the register. Music, books, food, anything you get, just say, hey, I'm with Caprock. We'll get a portion of the proceeds, and we can use that towards all the programs that we're doing, prizes for the anthology and various things like that. So that's one element that you can help us out immensely with. The other element is that we have a bunch of authors who are coming to sign their books. So if you want to meet our authors and get their books signed, buy their books and get them signed, please come out between 12 and 6, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all 3 days. And I have a little flyer I'm handing out that will have all of the authors and the times and dates that they'll be there. Kim, can you help me pass these out? Here. Also, I still have a sign-up sheet. We've pretty much picked the authors. The authors have to be able to have their books purchased by weight at the bookstore, and then he will reimburse you unless you're part of the group. Anyway, if you don't know what that means, see me afterwards. But we do have maybe 1 or 2 slots, but I don't know if he's able to get your books in, so come check with me. But the other thing that we're doing that's really fun is we're going to have a book cover contest. So outside of, when you walk into the mall, right next to the entrance where the bookstore is, there's a bunch of shelving that Barnes & Noble uses to promote stuff. We're going to put our authors' books up in there. So if you can't do the signing or whatever, even if you can, we would love to have your books on display, and we're going to have a little voting so that anyone that comes into the mall can vote for the best cover, and we're going to have, I'll probably get a $25 Barnes & Noble gift card as a prize for the winner. So if you're interested in that, please sign up. If you brought your books today, it could just be your book, your printed book, or if you want to make a little poster, make it the same size as your book so that I can insert that in there. Great promotion. Think about it's going to be up for at least a week in the mall, and with your name on the cover and everything else. So it's a really good opportunity just for promotions. And then, of course, if you win the vote, you get some stuff. So if you want to sign up for that, you can also just email Caprock Writers Alliance at Gmail, or me, KJ Waters Author at Gmail, and let me know you're interested. I'll make sure I can come collect those and put them on display. So that's the deal. If you have questions, catch me after. Kim?
All right. Thank you, Katie. That's going to be a really cool jam. I'm excited about that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, so you may have noticed the beautiful prizes back here on the raffle prizes table. There's some great gifts for Mother's Day. If you, wait until the last second and want to gift for your mom, or there's something for yourself. There's a great book back there that I'm hoping I might win. So please buy a raffle. Linda, how much are the raffle tickets?
$1 a piece.
$1 piece.
Or you can get 5 for $3.
Or you can get 5 tickets for $3.
And if you do 10, you get 15 tickets.
15 tickets for $10. Why was that? This has been a really good fundraiser for our group. And so we're raising funds to pay speakers to come and speak to us. And we get really great quality speakers for that. So it's a great cause. So next, I'm going to invite our author spotlight speaker, Bradley, to come up and tell us about his author journey. So please welcome Bradley.
Super Kim, I'm as short as KJ.
Hey!
Can you hear me, Matt? Yes. Yeah, I'll squat down a little bit. Okay, so I'm probably a oddball person to have for author spotlight. I'm probably the least prolific author that's ever done this. I'm also probably the only nonfiction author that's done this that I remember. I'm not much of a writer. I've always been a big reader. I've probably read, I know this sounds crazy, somebody else might be like this, between 4,000 to 5,000 books in my life. I still, to this day, read a novel or 2 every week. The Navy, on one of my trips in 180 days, I read about 200 books or so because we had a lot of spare time and I had insomnia, so I read a lot. So I do financial coaching on the side, which is great because this lady will talk to you about financial stuff later today. Multiple streams of income. So I love money. That's a good deal. So I was doing a marriage retreat. I'm also a chaplain for first responder type people. I had a grant to do a marriage retreat. They told me, go get some books you can give people to give out, go on with financial stuff. So this was the type of stuff I found. The problem with this book is it's supposed to be helping you about money, and they want $29.99 plus tax.
I'm gonna cut that expense.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Spending $30 and you got to put on a credit card, Carol Smith plus. It's got all these nice charts and tables, and it tells all these lovely stories. That's a bunch of crap. You don't need that. Edit that out, Matt. That's not the crap on TV. So, then there's a bunch of books. There's a Robert Kawasai or something that does the Rich Dad Poor Dad, and they're all full of good information. You should not have to wade through all this to learn about finances. Honestly, I can tell you how to do your finances in 3 simple sentences. Get with me later if you want those 3 sentences. You can fix your money problem in 3 simple sentences. So, we spent an hour in bookstore. I told my wife, I'm not spending $500 on books to hand out to people. That just seems idiotic to me. And she said, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to go home and write a book. And of course, my wife said, yeah, you're stupid. You're not going to write a book. I said, watch me. I went home. It's a short book. Anybody want to take a guess how long this took me to write? Any guesses?
Half an hour.
11 days from start to finish. Not quite half an hour. I can't type that fast. I can talk that fast. I can't type that fast. My goodness, I have to hire somebody to do that. Yeah, so it took me about 11 days to do. My sister-in-law is a 7th grade, they don't call it English anymore, language arts teacher. She edited it for me. She said, hey, dummy, there's no more 2 spaces after a period. That was when I learned typing back in the 80s, you did. Yeah, that's no longer a thing. She also said some of my colons and semicolons, whatever, in the wrong spot. So I wrote this book. I love it. It's probably, I don't know anybody else does this. I will give you an absolute money-back guarantee on this book. If you give me the $5 for this book, and you don't get $5 worth of information, you can toss it in the garbage or bring it back to me. I'll give you a crispy $5 bill back. Finances is not something that should be that difficult. So I wanted something really simple. A lot of people actually buy these for college and high school graduates to give them as a graduation present because they're hitting the workforce and they're making some money. It's pretty simple. You can apply these principles. I was not in this group at the time. I didn't know how to publish a book. So guess what I kept Googling trying to figure out how to get a book on Amazon. I kept Googling Amazon, how to put a book on there. That's not a thing. It's Kindle. If somebody would have said the magic word to me, that would have cost me $0 to write this book. Instead, I got one of the, I think it was 48 hours press. I liked it because, hey, we can print your book in 48 hours. It's reasonably priced. I think I paid like $2.57 a copy for these. If I buy them from Amazon, last time I looked, it was like $2.40 something. So it's virtually the same cost. I bought about 100 books up front. I've sold maybe 200 some odd of these. I've given away another 100 or 200 because I really don't care if I get the $5 or not. That's not making me rich. I'm really hoping Dave Ramsey's people find this book because it kind of makes fun of him. That's why it's called Davis. And I say about half the stuff that he said is wrong, so I really want him to call me so I can get on the show. Or get sued, I don't know what you have. So I spent some money out of pocket, so I spent like $325. Had I known about Kindle, I would not have had to spend a penny because that's the magic of Kindle. You can put your book on there. I assume still to this day for absolutely free. Now, if nobody buys it, you don't make any money. We got into a big discussion. KJ, if somebody reads one of your books on Kindle Unlimited, you get like, what, $1 if they read it?
My books are long. It's a page read. So my big long books, if you read the whole thing, it's about what I did if they buy the book.
Okay, so KJ gets $3 or $4, $5. Anybody want to enter a guess at what I get if somebody leaves through this entire book?
I'm set on 30.
17 cents.
Oh!
I put this out one year, the first year I wrote, I said, hey, I said, hey, if you have Kindle Unlimited, get on here, read the book. I found out very quickly, if you order the book on Kindle Unlimited and don't leave through it, I get 0 cents. So like 37 people did that for me, only 2 of them actually bothered to read it, so I got like 34 cents of that. Great advertising. But yeah, so I'll give you an absolute money back guarantee. So I do some writing. I'm trying to write a fiction book. I don't know how you people write fiction. That is much more difficult than nonfiction. Nonfiction, you literally just put down stuff that you already know in a cohesive fashion. And people are like, oh yeah, that's good information. We'll buy that book. Fiction, whole other ballgame. So I've been stuck on chapter 3 for about a year now. So who knows if that will ever happen. I am working on another book. I want to do, because I'm a chaplain for first responders like police, fire, EMS, dispatch, and those type people. I'm really trying to write a book that's geared toward them because most of them are sort of clinically insane because they're in that field, so they don't know how to think right. Lynn is laughing a little bit too much. My son is in the police academy right now. He's really bugging me to write a book about my police experiences. I am working on that. I don't think the stories are as funny if you don't tell them in person. Like if I tell you the story about the crazy people I met, everybody laughs, but then if you read it in the book, I really don't know if it would be that funny. But I'm working on that. I know Tom and somebody else in here were in law enforcement too. I'm a real oddball for law enforcement. I did it every single day in uniform patrol. Everybody else was like, oh, I was a detective, I was the chief, I was this. I was like, yeah, I just owned a gun belt and took calls for 18 years. It seemed like way more fun than sitting in an office doing paperwork. You get to drive really fast and fight people, and you get paid, you get beat up every now and then. It's not bad living. So if I had to do this again, and this because I was not in this group, I just didn't know any different, I would not have spent that $325 up front. I would have gone straight to Kindle, make my little bit of money off of it, I don't care. So that's the biggest thing I learned on my journey is finding people to ask the question. I will spend as much time researching as I did writing a book. I'm like, surely you don't have to pay to get a book on here. You know, and you can look on Amazon all day long. It never leads you to Kindle for some reason. So I know that now. Just use the magic word Kindle. So I am still working on stuff. If I write a book for law enforcement, it's going to be like this, but have even smaller words because they're not all that smart. So we're going to I'm a retired cop. I can joke about it. No police are. They're terrible. They're good at fighting crime. They're terrible with money. You'll hear this phrase all the time. Man, if I work enough overtime jobs this month, I can pay for X. And I'm like, oh, that is so stupid. Don't say overtime. I can pay for something. That's me. My first chapter. Slap yourself every time you say the word overtime. Okay, I'm not going to take my whole 10 minutes. That's what I'm saying. I can't make it funny in a book, though. I don't know why. Probably some people do laugh and stuff in my book. I think my funniest sale was as soon as this came out, I was in a group with a bunch of other financial coaches, and one of them, she had bought it and read it. She goes, hey, how much would it cost me to get 25 copies of that? And I was like, why do you need 25 copies of my book? She goes, well, I'm going to give them to my clients. And I'm kind of like, they're reading my book, should they be my clients? I do it as a ministry now. I don't even take money for it, so I don't really care. I don't get clients or not. I help people occasionally. Does anybody have any questions? I'm not going to take my whole 10 minutes, so ask any question you want.
How many did you bring of your books today?
I don't know. I've got 8 or 10 copies. If anybody wants to buy, they're literally $5 cash. I have some after the meeting. I'll sign it for you and everything. That way, whenever I get sued, you can say, I got a copy of the book, I got a signature. Or I get on the show. I might get on the show. I don't know which.
The reason it's interesting, you remind me, Dave Gracie, when I was working in KKYA in Plainview, we actually broadcast this program.
And I love that, and I'll say that in the book. This honestly changed my life. I don't remember my mother-in-law and my mother, I don't know if they just thought I was an idiot with money. Probably true, I was at the time. Somebody gave me this book for Christmas, like, hey, you probably need to read this. I'm like, okay. And I was like, that makes sense. I'm tired of being a broke idiot, and I'm going to be a rich idiot one day. That sounds like, no, I'm not rich, but I'm not broke idiot.
Scholarship for churches.
And like,
that's the information.
my problem with financial these universities, good information, but it's just like this book, it's too much. I can literally tell you the 3 sentences. You all want to hear the 3 sentences? Spend less than you make. What? Yes, Lord, spend less than you make. Avoid credit whenever you can. You can't always avoid credit. And save and invest early and often. If you do those 3 things, you will have money. I know 3 people that are millionaires. You wouldn't know it by talking to them. They look just like us. All 3 of them got that way by putting 5% of their salary into a 401k the first day they got their good job, and now they're 55 and they have $1.2, $1.3, $1.6 million in the bank. Don't even know where it's invested. They just put money in the bank.
Okay, what if it's too late to invest early?
Okay. I read this book and changed all this when I was like, I didn't start till I was like about 40-ish.
Later than that, but come on.
I'm not going to guess your age, Lauren, because I'm not stupid. It's never too late. I'm telling you, it's not. When I was 40 years old, when I turned 40 years old, I asked my wife if we'd go out for birthday dinner. She looked at the checkbook and said, if you want to split a Happy Meal at McDonald's. I'm 55, I no longer have that issue, so it doesn't take that long to turn your mind. I mean, it's honestly mindset. This book doesn't say, it hardly has any numbers in here. I can talk about financial stuff. I don't care what your house payment is. I don't care how much you make. You can fix financial problem with no money. It's all mindset. Once you decide this is what, it's kind of like losing weight. You tell I don't do a good job with that. Dieting is very simple. Eat lean meats, don't take in a bunch of calories. It's just hard to implement. Right? Okay. Any other questions? Nobody else has any questions? All right. Thank you, guys, appreciate it.
Very entertaining, very entertaining. Okay, before we introduce the speaker, I want to, after our meeting, if you're new here, after our meeting every month, we all as a group go to lunch. If you want to go to lunch and you're free, we're going to be going to lunch at the Costo's, which is over off of Milwaukee. So if you could, I want to call them and give them a head count about how many are coming. So if you would please hold up your hand. Okay, all right, that's great. All right, will you please come introduce our speaker?
Hi, I'm so excited to have you here. She's just so, I've never been a person like me. And you just mentioned a job and she's done it, or she knows about it, or she's had lots of experience. And most of it came from mine. Because she had to, you had to. She's been a living writing for more than 2 decades. As a writer of both fiction and nonfiction, she has ghostwritten more than 80 books for other authors and writes fiction under her own name. She lives up in Amarillo with a blue heeler and 2 cats, and they are something. She is also popular on YouTube. She has a YouTube channel with umpteen followers, and she used to have her own publishing company in Amarillo called Tag Publishing many years ago. And so I'm anxious for her to tell you all about how you can make money and write.
Okay, y'all. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you, Linda, for hosting me. My pets are convinced Linda is the savior of the universe, and every time she's at my house, they sit outside the door of the room she's in for hours. Because they just don't love her. So thank you very much. Dave, you have opened yourself up to be an example. I'm going to be talking about a lot of things for nonfiction authors and fiction authors as well, but a lot of my experience has been in the nonfiction realm, helping people do what they wanted to do, and so that is still a lot of what I do. I still have a publishing company. It's got a different name. River City Books is what it's called now. Tag Publishing was the Texas entity. Let's see. I'm thinking, what do y'all want to know about me? I don't know what y'all want to know about me. I do have a great deal of experience in the publishing and writing world, but honestly, I was in it to make money, y'all. I wasn't in it just to play. I mean, I don't have time for that. I don't. And that was back when remote work was not a thing. And I wanted to work from home. And I did. I figured out a way to make writing work for me and work from home. And of course, now that the rest of the world is caught up, I'm like, doy, it's a great idea, is it not? But it was a great idea back then too. So that was my original motivation, was to be able to write from home and actually make a living. Now, one of the things I want to start out with is, there for whatever reason, and I don't know why, there's always this conversation between writers. There are writers who are like, oh, I just want to create, and it's my thing, and it's my outlet. That is wonderful. You don't ever have to make a dime. There's nothing wrong with that. That's great. There's also nothing wrong with, I want to make $1 million and I'm going to make it and I'm going to do it right. There's nothing wrong with that either. Everybody has their thing. And publishing is a multi-billion dollar industry. It's probably $1 trillion industry if we're honest. And why shouldn't you have a piece of that if that's your skill set? So there's nothing wrong with being focused, even hyper-focused, on making a living and a good living. I'm not talking about 15 grand a year, I'm talking about 6 figures. A good living, a real living from writing, and people start convinced they can do it. They can. They absolutely can. So, as far as my background and what I've done, I have way too much education. I'm not a big fan of education, but I wanted to prove to myself I could do it, so I did. So I have a lot of that. Doesn't matter, you can write without education. Not important. And if that bothers you, too bad. Because the writers who make money don't necessarily have the best education. That's okay. Nothing wrong with that. So if that is something you don't have, don't think it's going to hold you back. It does not. It absolutely does not. So in my previous incarnations, I've been an HR director. I have been a training coordinator. I have worked internationally. I mean, I've just done a lot of stuff. But a lot of that stuff is about people. Writing, whether you're in fiction, whether you're in nonfiction, is about people. It is about people. So understanding people, what motivates them, what touches their heart, what gets them to pick up a book and read the whole thing through, those are really, really important. So you cannot discount that connection with people. Even if you're writing nonfiction and it feels like a book report, it's still about people. It's still about people. Okay, let's go to the next slide. If we can. So we did sorry. Good. Do we have arrows? The next slide is an overview of kind of what we're going to talk about. And I'm going to just kind of go over in general things we're going to talk about. There are a lot of things you can do to make money. The things you can do to make money writing 5 years ago are not necessarily the most valid today. Things have changed. They're always, always changing. But I am going to go through my list of the top things that have made me money. And then we're going to kind of break those down and talk about them. And also, something else just to be aware of, we're going to talk about dollars, real money, the amounts you can make. We are not going to talk about, oh, it'll be a great living. No, we need specific amounts. And that is not in any way to brag or tell you what I've done. I'm a big fan, having been a former HR director, of everybody knowing what everybody makes. You need to know your worth in the marketplace. How are you going to do that if no one ever talks about amounts? How are you going to know what to ask people for? If you say, hey, I can ghostwrite this book, what's your amount? What kind of work is that? How do you know that? So we're going to talk amounts. We are still on the screen. That's okay.
You're jamming over here on the left.
Jamming.
Some great slides coming, everybody.
Yeah, just awesomeness. But one more minute. Yeah, go ahead.
While they're doing that, I was just saying, okay, no, you don't have to have an education.
Yeah.
If you do, what do you do with it? If you're open,
Depends on the education and what you're doing.
yeah.
If you have a PhD in English, nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. That does not mean you can write anything. Nobody cares. However, if you have an MBA and you're working with business owners to create books to grow their business, they care.
Yeah.
They absolutely care. Because you are in their realm. Now, how many books are you going to write with someone who's got a PhD in English? Because number one, they all think they can write a book, which they can. It's just going to be really boring. But they're not going to need your help. Yeah, they're not going to need your help. The people you're going to work with or that need your help are the ones who don't have that skill set. So I work with a lot of IT people, a lot of doctors who think they know everything, but they can't write. A lot of realtors, a lot of people who have a business they want to grow. So those are the kind of people I'm talking about. They need your help.
Right.
They have money, they don't have time. You want the money, you got the time. It is a great thing. Oh, and by the way, we have to be coming to lunch. There's something called cash flow retirement we need to talk about. But it's a retirement thing. My YouTube channel is about retirement. It's called Retirement Rescue. We've got about 20,000 subs, 1 million plus views. That's one of the ways I make money. We're going to talk about that too.
That's one of the things that we hear about.
Okay, let's talk about, first of all, ghostwriting is probably the main way as far as dollar amount that I have made money over the last 25 years. Well, actually, it's been about 18 years. I started in 06, 07. I'm going to, and yes, some of these books I published, but a lot of them I did not. We worked at that time, I had a business partner, and we worked for 5 different publishers as ghostwriters, as a ghostwriting team. We ended up with 35 employees, I should say employees, contractors, who were ghostwriters, graphic designers, everything to put a book together. And then we helped publish those books too for these publishers who wanted us to help them with that. We did that, we offered the whole package. But a lot of these publishers, we just did the ghostwriting segment for them. So just so you know. But here are some of these books. Actually, this is a recent book that I did. It's Table for One. It's a book on grief. It was written by a realtor. It's a really emotional book. If y'all go to the search and sign on Amazon, you can download the first chapter. I guarantee you, you'll be crying. It is fabulous book. But I helped her with this. So that's one of the more recent ones. This one is actually one that we got on Jay Leno. So when we talk about nonfiction, we also did a lot of marketing. Our clients were on Jay Leno, Fox News. They were written up in the Wall Street Journal. And this one, of all the books we wrote, y'all, so this story, sorry, it's the allergies. As y'all are so aware. This book is called Lucrative Love, and it's a book about how to marry for money. I kid you not. So we were working.
What if it's too late for that?
It's never too late.
Okay, yes.
You know how it is. There are always guys who want to nurse her first, and you can sign up for that. But this book, he called us up. It was a marketing guy we worked with a long time, and some of y'all may know him. A lot of you probably won't. His name was Tom Felsenstein. He was a marketer, and he was a franchisee and board member for McDonald's for a long time. He was on the original board that came up with Ronald McDonald House. And he also created, back in the 80s, for those of you who are old enough to remember, the original seminars on guerrilla marketing. He was that guy, right? Well, he talked to a lot of his clients about doing books to grow their business. And of course, we did the writing for those books. So one day he's really frustrated because these people don't believe him like people usually don't. He calls us up and he's like, girls, because my business partner was also a female. I realized Tom's about 80, so that's fine. He called us girls. He's like, I'll give you 30 days. I want you to write a book. I want it to be a book about marrying for money, and I want it to be funny. Like candy, tennis shoe, and so we did. We put this book out in 30 days. And it's the one that got on Jay Leno of all the books. But it's Lucrative Love. Oh yeah, we have a slide. Woo! But there are several books, everything from full-color children's books to hardcover, case about everything. So we've done all that and can still produce all that. Anyway, we're going to talk about, what? Backwards?
Oh, sorry.
Okay. We're going to talk about ghostwriting and working with those publishers. My own publishing company, that's another way I make money. I do marketing for my clients, do media to get them out there, to get them speaking engagements, to get them hooked up on the speaking circuit with conferences, that sort of thing. Oh yeah, bestsellers. We do bestseller campaigns, or we used to. And so we have a lot of bestsellers, which is great. But, you know, as y'all know, that's a smoke and mirrors game. But it's still a good game if you're making money from doing it. So there are lots of different ways to make money. And of course, I'm an influencer too. As far as YouTube, I get paid to do that too. I also write my own books. I make money from my own books. I make money from speaking engagements. I make money from doing seminars. I make money from teaching classes. I mean, there are a multitude of ways to leverage your knowledge base to make money. So it's just you deciding which of those fits your skill set. And something is going to fit your skill set, whatever that is. Okay, let's go forward. Okay, I get this question all the time. I mean, all the time. And I'm not sure why. I'm like, who do you think gets paid to write all this content? 80% of every nonfiction book you see on the shelf was facilitated or written with a ghostwriter. Ghostwriters now have their own national conference. It is such a big deal. Publishers employ these ghostwriters. Writers, authors employ these ghostwriters. John Maxwell's ghostwriter now gets credit in his book. I mean, it is becoming so much more accepted. It's always been there. It's just been real quiet. Well, now it's kind of come out of the closet, as they say. And the cool thing about that is so has the money. The money has risen substantially. So yes, the answer to this is yes. Okay, next slide. Okay. This is writing income that is actually real. It's not something you have to be on Fiverr where they're lowest common denominator and everybody wants you to write a book for $5. No. This is real writing income that gives you real money. On the ghostwriting end, when we were running our company, the best year we had, which I believe was 2010, and we were 2 people working in the loft in my house. Okay, 2 of us. And the company pulled in $987,000. Our take of that was a little over $260,000. It is real money. It is not a dollar here, a dollar there. It is real money. Of course, I write my own books, and y'all know what that income is like. I will warn you though, once you start writing for money, guess what you don't do?
Right for free.
Write your own books. Yes. You don't write your own books. You don't take care of your own stuff. I'm terrible about that. Terrible. Linda can tell you, it's so frustrating. She's like, would you just get your books out for God's sake? Like, well, yeah, but I've got to make money. So, I provide a lot of author services. So I help authors with formatting their books, getting covers out, getting things uploaded to Ingram. I still have an Ingram publisher account. So I can help them get on that account, which is way better than Ingram Spark. Actually, it was around, I've been with Ingram since '07. So a long time, that was way before Ingram Spark was even a thing. And I remember going to an RWA conference and Ingram Spark had a table set up so I could talk to them because I'm like, okay, what is this thingy that y'all are doing? And they're like, oh, would you like to be an ambassador? And then I saw the deal and I'm like, no, my deal's way better. So I'm glad I still have that. I publish books for other people, but I do not market that. I do not market myself as a publisher. I don't go out looking for books. Most of the books I publish now are books that I've had a hand in creating because I can assure the quality. Y'all know as well as I do, there's lots of crap out there. There's just lots of crap out there. And so I'm much more careful now about which books that I publish myself. Obviously, teaching and speaking. One of the good things that came out of the pandemic is people are much more used to learning online. We have platforms now like Teachable and many others that allow you to teach people anything. You could do a little, Teachable class on how to catch a grasshopper and it would sell if you marketed it right. That is one of the biggest ways these days a writer or anybody can make money. If you have any skill set, it doesn't have to be about writing. Any skill set you have, because here on Teachable or any of the other platforms, the skill set is teaching. You can teach, if you can teach, you can teach anything. And one of the things I did back in '06 was I taught at Amarillo College. I taught writing classes at Amarillo College. I taught writing the Great American Novel, how to learn how to critique and create a critique class. I taught a memoir class, writing your memoir. And so I have the actual real world experience to go and teach. But even if you don't, if you get on these platforms, you can teach anything. And it's not very expensive. So that's awesome. The influencer we already talked about, like on YouTube or any of the other platforms, and we'll go into more detail about that. And of course, I also have a company that I started literally 6 months ago. Back in May, it's 6 months. It's been 6 months. Because, well, here's what happened. So I decided about, here's what happened. I decided about 8 years ago, I always wanted to live in the mountains. Always. Mountains of far northeastern New Mexico. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to move to the mountains. Did. Moved kind of semi-retired. And after the first year, I played. Y'all, I went everywhere. I went to Vegas 3 times. I did everything. But a lot of what I did was really focus more on my writing and working remotely, which I did, but I only worked part-time. I still made a great living. It was great. Well, a year ago, a little over a year ago now, barely, My brother who lives in Amarillo, was in the end stages of brain cancer. And I have been wanting to move back. New Mexico is a wonderful place to visit, not great if you live there. But I'd been wanting to move back anyway, and the opportunity presents itself, and 3 weeks later I was moved and in a house. It was fast, which has been great, because I was there for the last stages of his journey. But then also, I had a little time to myself, and then into November last year, I decided to start a business from scratch, helping people manage their social media, helping people understand marketing as it exists now. And if you haven't done advertising, digital advertising, or messed with these social platforms in the last 2 years, they have changed dramatically. And business owners, and I know some of y'all are probably business owners, they are so over it. They don't have time for this mess. They don't want to learn new crap. They're done. In fact, there have been several large marketing and website agencies in Amarillo and many other places that had 50-somethings at the helm. They all have been retiring. They just shut up shop and retired because they're done with it too. So there's a lot of opportunity, and I saw that opportunity. So I started from scratch in November. This will be the first month that I'll be able to pay every single one of my bills purely from the money from that one business. And when I say pay my bills, it's going to make easily $80,000 to $100,000 this year, just this business. That is how great the need is. That need exists in Lubbock too. It absolutely does. So this is a wonderful opportunity for any of you to get into doing this. But you have to learn the skill sets. If you're willing to learn, there's education everywhere. There is no dearth of education on how to do these things. But look at things that were done, that were produced in the last 2 years. Very important. But anyway, this is a big up-and-coming one for writers about creating content. Okay, next. All right. These are a few of the hundreds of books I've been a part of. Personally, ghostwritten about 80. But in conjunction with other authors, other book coaches, other ghostwriters. All of these are books that were published through my company. And I do not go out and look for ghostwriting clients. I haven't done that for 20 years. Every single client comes to me through a referral. And almost all of them come from previous clients I've had. Actually, this doctor right here, Dr. Bush, he just called me up to do yet a third version of this book. We've done 3 versions over 15 years. And he calls me every time. He gives one of these to every patient he has. And his business has grown tremendously. The leverage, the IRA guy up here, this is Matt Allen. It's leverage your IRA. It's how to buy a real estate within an IRA, which is pretty complex. But at the time we first did this one, which was I believe 09, it was very complex. And they were the only mortgage company in the States that was doing these types of mortgages. We're now about to do the 3rd version of his book to update it for new laws, and now there's several companies that do it, but they're the largest. And part of it is because of this book. They had the book. Do you want to go with the regular guy, or you want to go with the guy that wrote the book? That's the power of a book for business people. Of course, David Orrick, he died recently, late 90s. That's Tom's book about marketing up there, one of them. But you can see there's just a whole variety. This is one of the things, like if someone brings up a profession or an instance or some sort of personal development concept, I've probably written a book on it, literally. You know, and they're like, well, how do you know that? I wrote a book. I wrote so many books. I've written real estate books for the U.S. I've written real estate books for Canada. I've written real estate books for Australia. So I'm familiar with all the laws. I've written an immigration book for Australia. So it's like when this stuff comes up in conversation, people are like, you know, are you some sort of trivia person? No. Research books. So, and you'll get that way too. If you ghostwrite enough, you will get the same experience I've had, just probably in different areas. But I consider that a lot of fun. That's one of the things that keeps me interested, even after 20 years, is writing something different every time. I'd never written a book on grief. And at the time I wrote that book, my brother had been diagnosed as terminal. So it was great timing. It was wonderful to explore that. And it was fabulous, and I absolutely love that book. But, but anyway, this is the kind of stuff you get to do. Writing isn't a chore. When you tell people, oh, you can make 6 figures writing, they think you're in a dark room, hunched over your computer, and oh my God, you're chained to the desk. No, no. It's allowed me to travel internationally. It's brought international clients to Amarillo, Texas. I mean, of all places. Why would they want to come to Amarillo? But they do. So, you know, they paid for a whole Christmas thing one year. I can't even with that. But, you know, it's just, it has been the most wonderful thing as far as affording me opportunities and bringing me opportunities. The more you're out there working as a writer, the more work you get when you do a good job due to these referrals. Okay, next slide. Okay, this is Caprock Content Consultants. Why did I choose the name Caprock? Because it was free and easy and I could. So that's what I came up with in the shower one day, so that's what we called it. And the domain was available, so hey, you know, you got to go with what you got. But these are just some of the things that I do for, and I do this for local business people, as well as non-local business people and authors. But a lot of my business right now is just local business people. They all need help. It is business you can get immediately, and love it, just like Amarillo. Once you break into that group, you're in, man. Everybody starts calling you. That's why I didn't quite have my act together yesterday, because I was just inundated with phone calls of people closing deals. And so, you know, this is a real fast and viable way for you to get your foot in the door and start creating content. And one of the things I do with websites, I do not know zip squat about doing websites, but I can work a website design program like nobody's business. It works like any other program. It's not hard. You don't need to be a developer anymore like you used to. Everything has plugins. It's super easy. But business people don't have the time or energy to deal with it. It is super easy. So that's just one of the things you can add to your skill set because it's so easy. And you can learn how to do any of them online, YouTube videos. YouTube is great. But that's what this business mostly does. So, next slide. Okay, speaking engagements. I also do a lot of leadership development. I've written books on leadership, yes. I also do a lot of speaking gigs on personal development. I've written books on personal development. So there are a lot of speaking gigs, but of course my favorite is writing. And I just started getting back into speaking because, you know, during the pandemic and everything, it just wasn't a thing, right? And even getting back, even putting up on LinkedIn that I'm speaking, the Georgia Writers Group got in touch with me that way. So you'll be amazed at the people who get in touch with you once they know that you're available. People need speakers right now because so many speakers kind of stopped doing it during the pandemic, and they really haven't geared back up. The most interesting speaking gig I ever got, and honestly it was my first, what I would call real speaking gig. And y'all, I am a huge introvert. I can get up and talk to 2,000 people, but talking one-on-one is a struggle for me. So I didn't, a lot of writers are that way, believe me. So I didn't really think speaking was going to be a thing for me. I mean, I could speak when I was teaching and do that kind of stuff. So I didn't think it was going to be a thing. But I did a Credit Union Business Magazine, was the national magazine for credit unions. I shot them a deal. That was back when you query that way. It was print. This was in 08, I believe. And I said, I'll write a 12-part leadership series for you C-suite executive stuff, you know. Everything from golden parachutes to, you know, dealing with not having perfect knowledge at the top, which many don't. And they're like, great, but you've got to have a big name to start with. You need to interview a big name. And I'm like, okay, I'll try to get John Maxwell. They're like, you get him, you're in. I'm like, great. Do I know him? No. Have I ever talked to him? No. I don't know anybody who knows him. I was like, oh, great. Wouldn't be the first time I promised something and then thought, oh, shit. Now I have to deliver. Oh. So I called his office. Got a secretary. talked to her for a bit, told her what I needed, and he had a new book coming out on leadership. And so I, of course, heard nothing. Crickets, right? So I sent her some chocolates. And I called her back. I said, okay, I need 8 minutes. If he has 8 minutes, he's got this leadership book coming out. This is a National Credit Union magazine, you know, blah, blah, blah. Next call I got was from him. He was in a hotel room in Vegas. And he called me up and he said, I hear you need 8 minutes. I got 8 minutes. We talked for 45 minutes. It was fabulous. And that turned into a great article. It was a great article series. So don't be afraid just because you don't know how. Everybody is a human being. All writers are human beings. Everybody who's got a book out has that little voice in their head that says, man, I just need more promotion. I need to get more media. If you can do that, if you can provide that for them, you're in. And so then once you do that and everyone sees it, then I get a call from the National Credit Union Organization asking me to come and speak at their national conference in Vegas. Had never had a speaking gig. I'm like, sure. Why not? But I went and did it, by golly, because that's what you do. And part of it, I think we as writers, especially, we tend to say no to everything because it's kind of scary. It's not really our skill set. It's out of our wheelhouse. All those fabulous cliches that basically say we're chicken. We're chicken. And so, but part of being out there and making money is getting over it. Get over yourself and go do it. And then all of a sudden people are like, oh wow, they so have their act together. I do not have my act together. But they look at you and think, you got your act together, you're doing all this cool stuff. No, I'm just jumping on those opportunities when they present themselves. And it doesn't matter what the opportunity is. If there's a way I can do it, I do it. Because odds are you'll meet somebody that's a future client, future money in your pocket, or they can recommend you to your future clients. So it's all about being out there and putting yourself out there. And I still to this day find it very hard to do that, but by golly, I do it. Because I know the value of it. It is incredibly, incredibly valuable. So yeah, if you can be a speaker, if you can teach, do it, because that gets you so many people who know who you are, who will also buy your books. Okay, next. YouTube! YouTube was born out of the pandemic for me. I thought for years about doing a YouTube channel. In fact, Liz and I had a publishing company previously in 2009, and YouTube was just starting to be a thing. We discussed it at length, but then we just didn't do it. We were too busy writing freaking books, is what happened. But during the pandemic, I had semi-retired by that time for about 2 years, and I was ready to get back into doing something. And at the end of 2009, I thought, okay, I'm going to learn everything to know about doing a YouTube channel. I'd never filmed a video. That was not me. I don't like being in front of the camera. I'm an introvert. I'd never edited a video. That was not me. I didn't care. So I didn't learn that skill set. You know, I was not super into social media. Because here again, I'm not a person who takes selfies and stuff. I don't care. I don't care what you had for breakfast, right? So it wasn't me. But I decided, okay, I'm going to learn to do this. And in 2020, I'm going to relaunch my business and I'm going to base it off YouTube. What happened in early 2020? You're going to go nowhere, you're going to talk to no one, and you're going to be a hermit. Not that I had a problem with that. But what it did allow me to do was really dive deep into doing YouTube. And one of the best pieces of advice I found on the internet about doing YouTube was do 50 videos as fast as you can and put them out. Get over yourself. Put them out badly. And let me tell you what, doing 50 of anything really quickly and putting it out there forces you to learn it in a way you would never learn it if you were fiddling around. It also gets you a body of work out there. It improves your skill set. And now you can really do this. And you've got it down to where it could be just a portion of what you do. It's not taking over your life anymore. So that's what I did. I put 50 out as quickly as I could. Most of the stats you hear on YouTube are not encouraging. The average YouTuber takes about 3 years to get monetized. Monetized means 1,000 subs and 4,000 watch hours in 12 months. And I thought, okay, well, I'm gonna be here for a minute, right? So I'm just putting my things out, doing my deals. And YouTube will occasionally test videos and put videos up to a larger audience. You have no control over that. YouTube is this funky thing that I have a love-hate relationship with because you don't have control over it. Well, when I was 11 months in, and believe me, by the time I was 11 months in, I had 36 subs, which were mostly friends and family that I browbeat into subscribing. I averaged about like 6 views a week, so they were not watching my videos. I just, browbeat them, and I had all these videos out there that no one was seeing, no one was watching. And it was disheartening, I'll be honest, it was disheartening. But month 11, which was January of 21, all of a sudden I had like 250 views. I was so excited, I can't even. And by the end of the month I had like 50 subscribers, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm just such a big deal. Because I had like 36 or and but I felt like it was going somewhere. And then the first week in February, YouTube, I guess, decided one of my videos was all that. And it was a video on decluttering of all things. And it took off, and by the end of February, I had 10,000 subs. And that was due to YouTube. They will do that on occasion. So if you hang in there long enough and you're consistent with your content, you will get there. But it's not a small thing. It's like an extra little job you're doing over here. Now I interview people. I did one not too long ago about a 78-year-old YouTuber. She's Lady in Amarillo. She has a quilt YouTube channel. She does everything herself. She's 78. What is your excuse? What is your excuse? She edits all of her own videos. She uploads all of her own videos. She learned to do it at 73. She learned to do it. She'd been retired for almost 20 years. And she learned to do it. She had none of that skill set. She learned all the social media. She learned everything she needed to know to promote it. She learned how to quilt. She's a beginner. So the idea that you have some sort of excuse is crap, and I'm calling you on it right now. You don't have an excuse. If she can do it, and do it well, so can you. And this is a big part of the future, being able to be out there on video as an author, being able to upload vids, work social media from the video side is becoming more and more of a thing. So you've got to add it to your skill set. The days of authorship, and I still hear authors say this, I just want to write books, I don't want to mess with no marketing. Okay, you're screwed. If your goal is to make money, you're going to be very disappointed because no one will find you. It's not that they wouldn't love your book. There are great books that no one ever reads. And the difference is they don't get in front of people. They're not shown it to people. And there's no way for those people to even find you among the sea of sameness out there on Amazon. So you have got to break that cycle. You've got to break that mindset. And it's not true anymore. As they are getting more and more competitive, and by they, I mean Facebook, Google.
How long are your videos?
The long form videos generally run 10 to 12 minutes on my channel. There are a few that are longer, but they don't perform as well, so I don't do as many of those. There are a few that are shorter. They don't perform as well, so I don't do as many of those. You kind of have to find the sweet spot for your audience and your content. You can do that by looking at people with similar content. And by the way, the old adage that you have to create something unique and different is complete BS. The more you can be like the channels that are doing well, the better you're going to do. The same is true in books. Why would you write another diet book? Why? Everybody wants it. The market is thick. Why would you write a book in October and put it out in October when that is the biggest book buying season? Why would you do it then when everybody's putting a book out? Why? Because people are buying them. So, people come at it from the wrong perspective. I shouldn't do it because everyone's doing it. No, you should do it. They're doing it because it works. They're doing it at a time when it works the best. So see what they're doing. Learn from people who are doing it well. And then do that. Okay? People, whether they're buying a book or whether they're subscribing to your channel, they're not looking for information that's completely different. They're looking for a personality they connect with. That's what they're looking for. They're wanting to connect with you. When you are writing fiction, you have a unique viewpoint. They call it a voice. They still call it a voice. You have a unique voice. You're going to find your tribe. If you get it out there in front of enough people, you will find your tribe that will connect with your voice. That's what you focus on, not how much is my book like something else. Focus on your unique voice. Okay. Yeah. Okay. We are going to talk about the elephant in the room everywhere. Briefly, if you were to listen to media, and we all know how truthful media is, you would think AI is everywhere, it's taking over the universe, you'll be able to push a button and your whole life will be wonderful. That is a complete lie. Y'all, they are pushing it so hard and they're pushing it with a reason. What is that reason? Money! Money! They want everyone to get so used to the idea that AI is going to solve every problem. All of these companies that are investing billions are going to want you to buy their AI product. That is 100% what it is. It is not going to make your life suddenly easier. But one of the things I really want to talk about with AI is how it is affecting the book business. And you can see these motivations when you look at how they're behaving. When I say they, people like Amazon. Oh, AI is fabulous. Facebook, they now have a little AI assistant. Oh, it's fabulous. But on the back side, if you're doing advertising for commercial purposes, you have to be able to upload a copyright to that image. Because they know all the lawsuits that are going on. If you created something with Canva, if you use something using an AI tool, and that lawsuit comes down on the wrong side, they're going to delete your book and it's your problem. They are completely setting it up to where they alleviate any responsibility or liability on their part for you having innocently used an AI tool that is now tied up in court somewhere. So realize that's what they're doing. They are figuring out who's going to be liable for this, who's going to be in charge, and nothing is free. While ChatGPT is a great free tool, we all know it uses stolen content. We've known that from the beginning. So do all of these image creation tools. They use stolen content. Now they are and will go back and probably pay for some of that stolen content, not all of it. They're also going to be locked out of a lot of content. They're in battles with these big news organizations. So here's what you're going to see. AI is not going to be free anymore. Your Microsoft subscription is about to go through the roof. And every other subscription is too. Canva, Adobe, you name it. They're all going to go through the roof because they're going to have to pay for that content that they can pay for. Someone's going to pay for it. Who's it going to be? It's going to be y'all. It's going to be us. We're all going to pay for it. So understand it's not free. I'm not saying don't use AI at some point. It has a great use in some instances. Just understand the long-term ramifications right now because there's so much undecided in how it's going to be used. Okay? And because they were started with stolen content, that's going to have to be resolved. It's going to have to be resolved. One of the things to also be aware of, because I've heard this said too, it's not that big a deal, they'll still pay for it, it'll be a little fee, it's not. The FTC has already started an antitrust investigation on the GPT models. The reason being, Microsoft, all of the big companies, Google, have created partnerships with these language models. And the question is, if you have one language model across all of these companies, it's a monopoly. And that language model does something, it affects everybody. And so there's antitrust investigations going on as we speak. So it's going to get ugly, y'all, because these companies haven't invested billions into this technology, but they invested billions to make billions. They did not do it for your benefit or because it'll be fun. You know? And so just be aware. Always be aware. I'm not saying don't use it, especially in the ideation page where you're coming up with ideas, but you can't use it for research. It lies. You know that. It lies like a dog, y'all. And it's going to get worse. All of these news organizations are now putting all of their content behind firewalls. Universities, even public universities, are doing the same thing because of the AI models. So you're gonna have to pay for everything that used to be free. It ain't free no more, and it's not gonna be. So realize just there are long-term ramifications. What does that mean for you as a writer? It means you just got a whole heck of a lot more valuable. A whole lot more valuable. And let me tell you a story about that. In the late 90s, when Jeff B. addressed a whole room full of publishers and told them about how he was going to sell books, and he was going to make digital books. They laughed him off the stage. They're out of business now. So, but here again, when digital books came out, what did we hear? Oh, hardbacks are done. No one's going to pay money for that crap. There won't be print books. It'll save the environment. It'll be like. These days, when you walk into a bookstore, how many hardbacks you see? A whole store. And that is because millennials who were raised on Harry Potter, they got addicted to hardbacks as children. They love them. Hardbacks are in. They love to keep their books. The digital age where things can disappear made them worry about that. It's going to disappear. They are now valuing printing out photographs, having hardback versions of books. That stuff doesn't go away, but guess what? How much are hardbacks? They are valuable. So when you as a writer hear things like, AI is going to just wipe out that you having to pay for content, blah, blah, blah. All those people will go away, all those content people that were trying to make a living, and very shortly, all of these people are going to be paying premium dollars to create content. Because that is something really, especially when you talk about stories or anything that involves human experience, that is very difficult for AI to replicate anyway. But it just made you more valuable. So don't believe the hype or the scare stories, because when everybody has to start paying big bucks, guess what? Now your big dollars look awfully cheap. And you get a real person, which is highly valuable. So, okay, now we're going to go to the question and answer portion of the day. Yes, Dave, what can I do for you?
How does your YouTube stuff get monetized? Like if you hit a certain parameter,
Yes.
do they call you, or
No.
is it like a contract thing, or how does that work?
It is extremely automated. They give you little pop-ups like every single day. Hey, it's time for you to be monetized. And you go into their system, you put in your information, you put in your, used to, they had to mail you this little thing that you didn't put in. They don't do that anymore. It's all automated. And you put in your information, your banking information, you get everything in there, and then it's automatic. They just pay you every month.
Okay.
It's super simple, super easy. Yes?
So if you're wanting to get started, and you don't have a lot of work to send out, but you're going to start somewhere, what are some tips for that? And then as far as like pricing schedule, how do you go about that?
Okay. For what in particular? Which aspect?
Well, like if you are wanting, maybe you were saying like helping businesses level.
Okay.
Okay, so kind of building a little bit of a repertoire.
One of the things you can do, and this is something I've done, you're free to replicate it, you're in Lubbock, I'm in Amarillo, although I do have some Lubbock ones. One of the things you can do is do something that marketing agencies don't do. Marketing agencies, for those of you who don't buy a lot of marketing, they do a marketing buy. Let's say you're going to spend $1,000 on radio ads. Then the marketing agency gets 20% of that, usually, sometimes more. One of the things I did, and every marketing buy you do, they get 20%. And I'm like, okay, that would piss me off as a business owner. I want all my marketing dollars to go to marketing. So what I do is it's kind of like with financial advisors. Do you want them to get a percentage of your asset base, or do you want a flat fee? I went to a flat fee business. I charged them a monthly fee, and their advertising dollars go to their advertising. And the cool thing, if they do social media and digital advertising, they have actual data. Radio can't provide them real data. Billboards can't provide them real data. But in Facebook and digital, oh, you've got the clicks, you know who's going where they came from, you can geofence it to any location, it's wonderful. And they love that. So I do a flat fee. And then if they do a website, it's also a flat fee. If they want me to host that website, it's a flat yearly fee. And then I do an hourly rate, like if they want every 3 months to update, it's an hourly rate. So it's flat fee, hourly rate. And I make more money that way than I would have if I had done 20%. So.
I also probably at risk of doing things myself, but first of all, you mentioned media stuff. I've done similar things when I started doing those media relations things. I've had some mass on and working broadcasting and very good TV on that.
Right.
But another thing that's helped me get a little bit of side income. Most people are aware about how easy it may be here in this state to become a notary public.
What? No recovery?
Yeah, because I'm commissioned, and it's like people think that you have to have a notary set time in Texas. I can tell you this: 3 requirements. You have to be 18. You have to be a resident of this state for a certain amount of time. Here's the fun thing: number 3, you have not committed a crime of moral turpitude.
You know,
translation, no more than the traffic ticket.
one of the things, there are a lot of things you can add to what you're doing, especially if you're working from home. That's a good one. That's great. Love that. Let me talk to you a little bit about moral turpitude clauses. Here again, my HR hat is on. One of the things I also do, which I generally don't talk about when I'm doing writers, is I play poker at a professional level. I play the World Series of Poker every year, every more than 2 weeks. It's fun and easy, y'all. Well, one of the databases that tracks you, Hendon Mob is what it's called, it's a poker database. Now when people search you online, if you come up on that database and you're applying for a financial job, they may not hire you because you play poker, and some of them, hello, we're in Texas, consider that moral turpitude, which is ridiculous. But as casinos now track you, and if you play a lot at a casino, you know they can send you a sheet at the end of the year for your taxes now. They track you. Guess what? Everything's tracked. So when you go to apply for jobs and things like that, it might come up. Now I think that will become less of a thing as time goes on, once it gets more normalized. But I think there are some HR people who've never seen that before, and so they're like, oh my God, they're a gambler. You know, and God help you if you own a marijuana business, y'all. Because this is in Texas, but it's not everywhere. But that's the thing. Yes, sir.
And also, you have to show your driver's license to do scratch offs.
Yes, you have to actually show your driver's license. Yes.
So how do you, like, if someone wants to become a ghostwriter,
Huh?
and they have their own books, and they have their own ghostwriter, how would you recommend it?
If they are wanting to be a ghostwriter, the best thing they can do is get to know business people, because they're the people with the money, they're the people with the need, and they're the people you can help. So if you can join a B&I group, a local networking group that is 100% local business people. If you don't have one you've written, write one and put it out. A business book or something, a personal development book. You can actually offer to do one at a very, very reduced rate with someone, like a local realtor, a local business person, so you could have that credential and they can help you with that you can have a review. Reviews is very important. But that is one of the best ways to start is to, you know, when we were trying to hire ghostwriters, the first thing we did was tell them, okay, you got 30 days. You need to write 60,000 words in 30 days, and it's got to be a book, a nonfiction book that you can put out. And if you don't do that, don't call me. Because they've got to produce. One of the things about ghostwriting is people think, oh, all I have to do is do this book. And, okay, 90% of it is dealing with the client. That's why I say English majors are not good at this. If you cannot effectively deal with the client, if you cannot effectively interview people, if you cannot effectively pull very personal stories out of people for their book, you're going to fail. If you cannot tell them a structure of how to put a book together, I can do an outline in 20 minutes of any book of any kind that is self-help nonfiction. Any kind, 20 minutes. And one of the things I will usually do when people are like, oh, that's a lot of money, the average For a ghostwriter that's done a book or two, it starts at $50,000 to talk. That's it, $50,000. When I started, it was 25. Now it's 50. But when you sit down with someone, they're like, oh, that's a lot of money. And I don't know if I have enough for a book, and is this really what I really, you know? One of the first things I do is I walk them through, this is how you put a book together. This is exactly what I need from you. Here's how long it's going to take. Here's how I structure the payments, because I set them up on payments. It's good for me, it's good for them, right? And then we talk about the concept. Usually the next conversation I have with them is, here's my credit card, and oh my God, I've got enough for like 3 books. We need to have a schedule, and we need to, because that's how it goes. They start to realize the value you're bringing to the table. And just for a quickie overview, I'm going to tell you the structure for how to ghostwrite a nonfiction book. It's so simple. And the thing is, once I tell you the structure, you go and pull any book, any nonfiction book, doesn't matter if it's financial, doesn't matter if it's a guidebook, doesn't matter if it's, anybody, off the shelf, you will see this exact same structure. It's always been there, it's always been obvious, but it's not top of mind. So here's what you do. Let's say you have 10 chapters, just for easy math. If you're going to write and I'll tell you how to structure the chapters too. 5 minutes or less. The first thing you do, the first 30% of your book, let's say, first chapter, your first chapter, you're going to talk about the problems. A lot of people think, oh, well, that's negative, no. If you're going to sit down over coffee and talk to someone about their problems, do you talk about all the sunshine and how fabulous things are first? No, because they're going to assume you don't relate. So you're going to talk about how they feel. Let's say you're doing a book about dads and daughters. Okay, so let's just say random book, dads and daughters. You're going to talk about how dads long for connection. How come they don't have connection? You're going to talk about how it feels. What they're afraid they're going to miss. They're not going to get to walk their daughter down the aisle because they don't have a relationship. They're not going to get to see all these important milestones. They're not going to have someone in their life when they're old and they really want that connection. You talk about the issues. And then you talk about in chapter 2, here's how it manifests. You've got a teenager, you just took their door off the hinges because you're fighting so much. You've got a teenager who doesn't want to be around you, doesn't want to see you. You've got a kid in trouble, and you don't know how to help them. You've got a small child, a young daughter, and you don't really know how to connect with a young child. You don't know what to do. So you're going to talk about how it manifests, what their life is like every day. In chapter 3, you're going to say, oh, but there's a solution. And you're going to give a brief overview of the points you're going to take them through in the rest of the book. Just a brief overview. Oh, but there's a solution and you can do this. Now in chapters 4 through 8, which is 50% of the book, you are going to outline in those chapters, step by step, the actual solution. Which is only 50% of the book is the actual solution. Okay? And one of the things that I tell people is very important to include, chapter 9, what happens when things go off the rails? You gain your 100 pounds back. Your daughter doesn't speak to you for a year. What happens when it goes off the rail? How do you get back on track? Because if you write a book that does not include that, people will not think you're sincere. They're not going to think you're real or you know their problems. Because it always goes off the rails, right? Chapter 10, last chapter. Here's what your life is going to be like if you implement these solutions right now, and here's why I'm the person to help you. That's the call to action. That last chapter. Sermons have the same structure too, by the way, for those of you who have done theology. But it is a normal, natural human. You're leading that human through, I understand your problems. Oh, but I have a solution. Here's the solution. But even if it goes wrong, you can still get back on track. And here's why I can help. It is a simple structure. Now let's say you've got the structure down. Great, you've got your outline in 20 minutes. That's how you get an outline in 20 minutes, right? But how do you put the chapters together? Very, very simple. In a nonfiction book, most of them have an intro of usually 5 to 7 pages where you talk about who you are and why you wrote the book. That's what's going to appear on your search inside. That is your sales pitch. Who you are, why you wrote the book, and the benefits you'll get by reading this book. That's all it is. That's the intro. Then as you go through each chapter, let's say you're writing a 200-page book. Let's say it's a 50,000-word book. These are not long books. It has to be short enough for someone to read on an airplane. So you're writing, ease of math, 50,000. I'm not a math wizard, y'all. But 50,000-word book. Each of your 10 chapters is going to be 5,000 words. Okay? For each chapter, you're going to set up 4 to 6 questions. They might be questions like, why does my daughter hate me? Why do I feel like I'm doing worse than every other dad out there? Why can I not talk about this to anybody? No one understands. You know, those are your questions. For each of those questions, and let's say you have 5 for a 5,000-word chapter. Each of those questions is going to take 1,000 words. And with each question, you're going to talk about what that means. What is the definition of that question? What is the answer to that question? And then you're going to talk about how it manifests in your life. What does it look like? Give an example, maybe. And then you're going to tell them a story. 60% of your book needs to be stories, either personal stories, studies, parables, something. Your actual content is actually very low in any book. That's why people can write multiple books. But that's how you put it together. 1,000 words comes pretty easy when you do those 3 steps. And then you just do that repeatedly. The beauty of that as a ghostwriter, if you get stuck on one, maybe you can just skip around and tack, 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 without any problem. And that book gets written in no time. And then you just pretty it up. That's all you do. And when I tell people that structure, they're like, no, it can't be that easy. Oh, it's totally that easy. As someone who's written books in 30 days, it is totally that easy. It is, yes.
I have a question about like voice. Do you try to really match it to the way that they would talk and speak, or are you just writing these kind of like neutral tone?
Yes, is the answer. You really want to match it to the person. One of the things I do with my people is I would talk through all of these things pretty extensively. We have a series of regular calls. We're talking through the outline. We're talking through what stories they might use. And sometimes it takes a little while to get to voice, what their voice actually is. Not always, but you try to match as close as possible. Now, one of the things you're going to do is go back and forth with chapters. You'll send them chapters, they'll revise it. So if there are, and this is another thing as a writer, you have no ego. If there are certain places they love commas, put them in there. It needs to sound like their book. If they use one particular word versus another word, put it in there. It's their book. It needs to sound like theirs. So you have to have totally no ego. If you feel like a story would be better if it had this element, depending on what it is, but that's not really how they tell the story, it's up to them. It's their call. That's the deal about ghostwriting a book. You are not writing a book for someone. You are an extension of them. You are writing it with them. You are a collaborator, and it is not your book. So keeping that uppermost in mind, while it's your job to direct them and tell them this is what we need, this is how we do this is how we're going to put it together. If there's something they have a problem with, then you work it out and you fix it until they're satisfied. So you definitely want the voice to be as much them as possible. Usually that comes through their stories, because that's going to sound like them, their stories, you know? It's going to sound a lot like them. There are some people that do everything via recorded interview. There are some people I spend time with one-on-one. It's usually some sort of combination. Back in the early days, especially because 75% of my business was international, it was all via Skype. They had that horrible delay. It was awful. It was awful. Now it's way better. You can Zoom anybody anywhere in the world. And it's really, really easy. And I do record everything. Any other questions? From anybody? Okay, I have no clue. Oh, okay.
I'll say you did a great job of explaining why my book is not that successful, because it doesn't have all those elements. So
Well,
you're probably right.
Well, and as you were
No, that's the truth.
Well, and as you were talking, I'm like, okay, number one, you're a great storyteller. What the hell, Dave? Why are you not putting great stories in it? Because you're a great storyteller. And it's one of those things where anybody can buy a bullet point list, which is basically what you created. It's like the skinny version. There's nothing wrong with that, because some people are bullet point people. But that is why you see so many stories in these books. That's what differentiates your financial book from Dave Ramsey's, is your personal voice and your personal stories. That's why people are buying that book as opposed to this book.
We'll have that in version 2.
Yeah, version 2. I would also suggest you get on YouTube, because you do tell, or TikTok, wherever, you tell better stories in person. That personality would be great on video. And
I did do Instagram. I was getting like 1,000 views on most of them.
Insta's not the place for video. Get on YouTube, do shorts, do TikToks, if you do TikTok. But definitely do shorts on YouTube and start putting them back on Facebook. Facebook has come up again on the video platform, so that's good. Hey, I'm here for y'all, so if y'all want suggestions on how to market or what. This is your shot, yes.
What's your favorite advertising platform?
Facebook, without a question. They are competing head-to-head with Google. That's why Google has laid off so many people, because they're doing a darn good job of it. They're competing head-to-head with them. Their advertising is being very effective, especially for books. You may have seen Berkeley is advertising on Facebook again. There's a reason. Big Five just doesn't spend money because it's funsies. It's working again. And so that is something you will need to consider. And because Facebook and Insta are connected, and it's easy to do, they can auto post, even without a third-party platform. Those are definitely two you should do as authors, but then also some sort of video, extra video.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
My problem with doing Facebook ads is that I have a pen name. My Facebook account is my pen name, and they want proof who I am, and I can't. I'm afraid if I show them that I'm not really a person, they're going to close my account. It's not fake.
What? Okay, you have an author page and a personal page?
On my personal page, my
That's the
husband
problem.
made me say I was not.
That is your problem.
Yeah.
Because they would consider that a false account.
Right.
Because your personal page should be actually who you are. And because it's set up as a pen name, even if you send them proof, they're going to reject it and say that should have been a business page.
So it's right not to pursue it.
Well, the thing is, yes and no. You can set up a personal page under you, and then you can advertise, change your pen name page to a business page. Then you can advertise from your personal page that has nothing to do with your book and wanting to be connected, but you can set up an advertising account. I mean, I advertise for a lot of businesses that are not my business. I do all of that from my personal page.
Can they trace it back to you?
No.
That's what I was worried about.
They cannot, but you've got to sit, and here again, Facebook is so funky about their own rules. You think they would just tell people, hey, here's the problem and here's how you fix it. That's not.
No, there's no personal problem.
No, they love that. So just set up a personal page with your name, or you and your husband, or however it's set up, and then advertise, set up an advertising account there, and then you technically, your business page would be a client of your personal page, like that. Yes?
Again, on the structures of
Uh-huh.
the book itself, chapters 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2.
1, 2, and 3. You connect with chapter 1. You talk about the issues. What are the issues they're experiencing? Chapter 2. How do those issues manifest in their life? What's actually going on? What are they experiencing? And then number 3, but there's a solution, and it's called X. And these are the things that are included in X, and we're going to talk about these. This is the solution, a brief overview, and then you go into the solution the next one. But here again, get the over to Barnes & Noble and grab any self-help book on the shelf and look at those first 3 chapters, and you'll see exactly what it's about. Yes, sir?
In your opinion,
I have many opinions.
which is the way to go? KPP or English?
Depends on what it is. KDP for digital and English for print. And there's a reason for that. And let's have a quick chat about ISBN. Y'all, there are so many authors doing the ISBN thing. We're all home. Buy your own ISBNs, buy your own, spend the money, and then have everything connected to that. Don't have multiple ISBNs. Don't get the free ones. Nothing is free. They are technically your publisher. So if you have multiple publishers, your sales aren't reported all in one place. That's ridiculous. Don't do that. Ingram is a large distributor internationally. I have a lot of international clients. I need the ability to drop ship books in Melbourne to Sydney. I don't want them shipped internationally. I do that through Ingram. You can do that on every continent. You can do that all over the U.S. It's awesome. You don't have to carry books in your bags anymore. But I need that functionality. Amazon is great, but it is a very limited platform. Granted, it is a large platform. But understand what you're getting. If they're in control of everything with your book and they decide to cut your author account off, you're screwed. Totally. If they don't, if you have it on Ingram, and let me talk about that for a second. Let's just say you have a book up and they delete you. Amazon deletes you. They do that all the time. If you're with Ingram, Amazon will still put your book up. They can't delete Ingram, and they won't. So that's a workaround. If you've been deleted or had a book deleted, put it through Ingram. But I do digital on Amazon. They are the best for digital, no question. And the Ingram digital thing is not worth even doing. But the print and the distribution you get for print from Ingram is superior in many ways for the things I need to do as an author. So you have to look at that for you as an author, but I prefer them. Yes?
Okay, I have my ISBNs.
Uh-huh.
I want to change from KBC to Ingram. But KBC as my current publisher, they are invested in my stories. How do I get my rights back?
Okay. Do you have digital on KDP and print, or just digital?
Joint print.
Okay. But you have your own ISBNs. But you put up your original ones.
I did originally. That's the same
Okay.
kind of thing.
What you do is, now, realize, when you do anything and you change anything, you change publishers, you get your rights back, whatever. You put a different cover on your book, whatever. Amazon will still allow the used version of those books. So it's not like that listing goes away. You cannot delete those listings. That's their website. You cannot delete anything because that's how they are. You can't do nothing. If you want to switch it over, you can use your own ISBN and upload that to Amazon. It'll have a different ISBN. You can then go and delete it. Whatever you want deleted, the print version, whatever, you can take it down on Amazon. You can do any of that. And that way your ISBN will be with Ingram. I don't know how much that's going to help you though, especially if these books have been out for a while. It may not help you any to do that, honestly. I mean, sometimes you just have to kick some dirt over that and move on. You know, because it is what it is. And if it's not going to help you, it's going to cost you to move things over. Then you want to really think about, is this worth doing for this book, or is it just worth doing for future books? So that's something you'll have to decide. Yes?
What are your thoughts on advertising through Amazon? I've played that a little bit
Yes.
successfully.
You would almost, and I tell people this, Brian Cohen has a really good class on Amazon advertising. It is intense, y'all, and I don't necessarily agree with everything he reports, but Amazon, and this is one of the things I don't like about them, Facebook does this too to a certain extent, they have it set up where it's easy to default for you to spend way more money than you intended. They do that on purpose, because they think you're not watching. So, I would advise take a class on it from an expert. Do not just get in there and futz around with it. Number one is you probably won't be very effective because you don't exactly know the best ways to go about it, especially now that they have new AI tools to use to reach a very specific audience. So you really want to know what you're doing. So please take a class before you get in there. Then when you get in there, be paranoid. In fact, and I do this for Facebook. I told one of my clients for this, and they're like, oh man, I should do that for a lot of things. I have a low limit credit card that I use for Facebook. If I ever screw it up, I know I'm only going to be out that much money. And I'm really careful. I just pay it off frequently throughout the month is what I do because I do a lot of Facebook advertising. But I do not put a high limit card on there because you can turn around and they have run that card up and tell you you owe another $10,000. They're notorious for that. So I'm also very, very cautious about how much money am I spending, what is my total budget, and being sure you know all the controls on those advertising platforms before you get in there and you attach your credit card to it and you just let something roll. You've got to be really careful. So please get a lot of education before you do it. And then when you do it, start very small and be sure you know what you're doing. Do not attach it to a debit card, ever, ever, ever. Be sure you know what you're doing before you go whole hog. Okay, and I always, even with my businesses, I start them out very small and we graduate so they can start seeing results. It's awesome too.
Okay, I have, back in 2022, I put out an advertisement through Facebook and I got banned. And I am still banned. I guess I will forever be banned.
Okay. Do you know why you were banned?
They said that what I did was against their community policy.
Yes. If you have seen any pop-ups recently with Facebook, they have improved that dramatically, and they now have a 10-minute guarantee that you can get things unbanned. Their bots, which are much better now, ban you. You may have to go through customer service. I actually had that with my Facebook account for years. And I had to go through, and I will admit, I absolutely spammed them like someone on cocaine. Their customer service, I would do like 20, 30 a day. Problem. And I did that for weeks. And I finally got them to fix it. And you may have to do that because they get tired of being spammed. Because there's someone getting that spam on the other end. But now they have implemented a 10-minute turnaround because some of the wording you may use, there are certain products, real estate's a big one. You have to click that. Now that they have a button you can click. This is housing related, yes. Because there's certain requirements in the Same thing with health and beauty. There are certain things you can say, things you can't say. And because people have screwed it up before, they're scared to try to do it again, or they've been banned. Great advertising opportunity for y'all to pick up for businesses that have had that experience because they don't know what to do. So you can help them do that, and you don't have to fix their account because you can advertise for yours and you can do it right. And then they think you're a genius, which is awesome.
What I did was, in one of my books I have, remember I write about interesting.
Right.
One of my characters was a police officer who was possessed by the devil. So I had some demon in a police uniform, and it just did not go over.
Well, things have changed. Of course, the advent of AI has changed some of the imagery requirements, but there is still some of that. And here again, some of the imagery you use, you've got to be able to prove you have copyright to that content. So you got to be careful of that. But yeah. They have changed a lot, and here again, that's why I say, if you haven't advertised or you haven't done digital advertising in the last year and a half to 2 years, it has changed dramatically. It's easier, it's faster, it's better, just much happier with it. I want to tell you this story. One of the first clients I picked up, what time are we? Are we still good on time? Okay. One of the first clients I picked up in Amarillo was an insurance company. They're a farmer's insurance thing. And I did consulting for them. We did social media management, and I also did digital advertising when we started really small. And so we started small, and our goal was to, increase their revenue, the basic goals. They've now been a client for 4 months. In that 4 months, they have tripled their premium revenue each month. Tripled it. They are on track to do 10 times what they did last year. And a lot of that is digital advertising, really good social media presence. And I also built them a landing page because the farmer's website sucks, y'all. So we built them a separate landing page that is an actual decent website. So, those are the kind of things. But when you can show those kind of proofs, and especially if like these people, they know everybody in town, I get so many referrals from them. For people, for roofers, for plumbers, for anybody who, restaurants that needs the same kind of thing. So just be aware in your digital digital advertising and social media presence work together.
What does that say again? I'm sorry.
Your digital advertising and your social media presence, like on Facebook, work together. So, and let me explain kind of how this works together. You need to be posting at least twice a week. These don't have to be stellar posts, they need to be posts. But anything you can do that's personal, any picture you can, the least slick picture of you and your jammies looking at your roses and thinking about what you're going to write in your next book, it doesn't have to be pretty. The more authentic you can be, the better. But you need to be posting at least twice, and you don't have to do them all. You can just do 1 or 2 platforms, just pick them and do them, and be consistent. And now that you can schedule things out for 30 days, you can do all your social media on Saturday morning, and it runs for a month. So it's great. But here's how it works. When you're advertising digitally, which is why you should advertise digitally on Facebook and Insta, anyone that interacts with your advertising starts to see your posts. Your organic posts rise because of your advertising.
Yes.
And as they are doing lookalike audiences, anyone that interacts with that advertising now gives them a better audience to start delivering your digital ads to. So they really work together. So if you're wanting to grow that presence, please advertise. Otherwise, your organic is going to sit there and stew. You know, they work together, and they work together really well right now. So, any other questions for anybody? Okay, well, thank you all for having me. This is my work. Oh, thank you.
And entertaining. And it just reminds me of, you know, how important our skills are to outside of the traditional ways we think of our work, right? It's not just our voice, but when she was talking about real estate agents, copywriters and ghostwriters, y'all, I will never forget, it's been about 20 years ago, but this house listing, I was reading the description, and it said, this place reeks with amenities.
Yes,
Reeks with amenities. Y'all, right? People need writers. They need to know. They need people to know what words mean. So anyway, I want to repeat some of our announcements and also some that I missed the first time, and then we'll do the raffle drawings. But get these to Barnes & Noble today, as she said, because Linda has a book signing at 2 o'clock today. So we're going to go to lunch, and we're going to do the book signing. So get these to Barnes & Noble today, and then we can look at the self-help books while we're there. Lunch again at the Posos. The address is 7611 Milwaukee. So if y'all call them and warn them that we're coming. This gentleman here needs a ride, so if anyone can help him get where he needs to go after the meeting, that would be very, very appreciated. What else have I missed? We have fabulous meetings upcoming. Next month is going to be Dr. Katie Cortese, am I pronouncing that correctly? Professor at Texas Tech. We are hosting an agent in September, so come back and get your book ready, get your pitch ready. We're going to be able to pitch. And all right, let's do rapid drawing. Oh wait, where are we having dinner next Saturday? Where are we having dinner next Saturday?
Chipotle.
At Chipotle. Community Center, 5 to 8. What is it?
I was going to say home cooked food because we're cheap.
Okay. All right. Somebody draw something. You need to draw? This is for these very cute salt and pepper shakers and a beautiful book. Ticket number ending in 787. All right. There you go.
All right.
I'm going to put it right here. This beautiful book, MT.
The idea book.
The idea book.
Oh,
it's right here. Okay. I'll put it on this
I
table.
said it there, and the teeth.
Okay. Ticket number ending in 800. Oh, that's me. Oh, that's
Oh.
DK brought these beautiful hyacinths before, she came up here and brought all the snack stuff and these beautiful hyacinths, so thank her next time you see her, because she's working for the group. Okay, ticket number ending in 785.
That's mine.
785, all right.
Yes, yes.
Act like I'm on the white promote day.
There you go. All right, and this lovely spa package. Ticket ending in number 776. 776, all right. Yay! Congratulations. All right. All right, well, thank you all again for coming. It was a very interesting and informative and inspiring presentation. I have my daughter here, she wants to learn it, but she's interested in freelance writing, and so I did some video for her, so thank you for that. All right, well, thank you all for coming. Try to stay dry, stay safe on the wet streets. We will see you all next time.